I think San Martin has finally done it. For a long time, Seiko has been considered the king when it comes to affordable watches, especially automatic watches, but I don't think that's the case anymore in 2025. And today we're going to be looking at a watch from a Chinese brand in San Martin that I think proves that. Now, San Martin's been around for a few years now. They've gotten a lot of attention for making really high quality watches, but until recently, they primarily were all about making homage watches or copying Swiss watches or Japanese watches. But this is something different. This is an original design from San Martin, and it's a good design from San Martin. And one of the core things about this watch is that it has this really beautiful dial that draws inspiration from Chinese history and artistry. So this is a watch that isn't pretending to be anything else. Take a look and let's get into it. Arguably, San Martin surpassed Seiko a long time ago when it comes to pure value for money. However, San Martin has always been held back by the fact that they relied heavily on creating homage watches or knockoffs of more expensive watches. They didn't so much compete with Seiko, they just copied them outright with homages of watches like the 62 Mass or the Captain Willard. But recently that's begun to change, with San Martin branching into more original territory, and last year with the release of this SN0144, I think San Martin has finally created a watch that doesn't just copy more established brands, but competes with them outright. And from a value standpoint, it completely blows them away. Hey guys, this is Dave. Welcome back to my channel, Just the Watch. As always, I'm recording this from my home in Iwate, Japan. On this channel, I like to make videos about watch collecting on a budget. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're interested in this particular watch, you can pick it up from the affiliate link down below. If you purchase through there, it'll give me a small commission, so thank you for that. Now, this watch was given to me for free by San Martin, which is why you saw the paid promotions flag at the beginning of this video. However, I did not receive any additional compensation beyond the watch itself, nor did San Martin have any control over the content of this review. Now, I reviewed a lot of watches from San Martin before, but I think this is the first one that, in my opinion, fully realizes their potential as being a genuine competitor to major brands like Seiko and Citizen. Let me see if I can explain why. If there's one thing that San Martin has developed a reputation for, it is giving you high quality specs and finishing for an incredibly low price. Basically, if you take any watch from San Martin and you look at the specs, you look at the components, you look at the movement that's inside of it, the level of finishing, and then go find a watch from either a micro brand or a major brand that has those same components, that same level of quality to it, the San Martin watch is going to be way cheaper. And this is because San Martin is a factory brand. They sell direct from the factory. They manufacture their watches in China where it's affordable to do so. So they're arguably the best value for money brand out there. And this particular watch, the SN0144, embodies everything that San Martin has come to be known for in terms of quality, components, and manufacturing. It features a sapphire crystal, a signed screw-down crown, a date at 6 o'clock that has been perfectly color matched to the unique color of the dial, and the level of finishing at this price point is crazy. In terms of the quality of the brushing and the polishing, it easily competes with watches that typically cost $1,000 or more. The brushing is smooth and even, and the polished areas are brilliant, and the definition between the polished and brushed areas is razor sharp. And they really went to town with the number of polished edges that they put on this watch. There's just polished edges everywhere. The watch is paired with an equally well-manufactured bracelet that features solid end links, screw pins for adjusting the size, and a Rolex-inspired tool-free micro-adjustment system on the clasp that's one of the best that I've seen on any watch in any price range. San Martin has chosen an excellent Japanese movement in the Miyota 9015, which is a premium movement from Miyota. This movement has a very smooth sweeping second hand, high accuracy, and it is incredibly thin. And this is how San Martin has been able to produce a watch that's only 10 millimeters thick and yet features 100 meters of water resistance. And San Martin has packed all of these features into a watch that competes with Seiko's Seiko 5 sports line in terms of price. Last year, Seiko released this SRPK 89, which is a very similar class of watch to this watch from San Martin. And depending on where you buy either watch, whether you can find sales, the prices tend to be almost exactly the same. And yet when you compare the Seiko 5 Sports with the San Martin beats it on essentially every single metric. It has a better automatic movement, it has a better crystal, it has a better level of finishing. It's got a better bracelet, a much better clasp. The only area where they tie is that they both have 100 meters of water resistance. This watch also features excellent lume, which is something you might not expect given the pretty small size of the hands and markers. But this has a very strong application of BGW9 and it shines very brightly. It scored an 11 on my lume test, which put it ahead of my Seiko Prospex Diver. Now, none of this is really a surprise. San Martin has been embarrassing the major brands in terms of specs for the price for quite a long time. But what they've struggled to do is to be able to make a really good watch with these specs that has a good original design. And this hasn't been for lack of trying. San Martin has been working on their original designs for a while, but until recently, most of them were highly derivative or very plain or just not that refined. They perfected the techniques for manufacturing high quality watches, but it's taken them a few years for them to get up to speed on the design front. But I think this SN0144 is their breakout piece. San Martin got their start by copying Swiss brands or Japanese brands, but the thing that I love about this watch is that rather than shy away from the fact that it's a Chinese-made watch, San Martin has instead proudly leaned into that heritage by taking inspiration for the dial from Jinjiang porcelain, dating back over 1,000 years to the Song dynasty. This technique creates a mesmerizing pattern on pottery and it was often used in the creation of Chinese teacups. The result is a dial that is beautiful, unique, and distinctly Chinese. Further leaning into this heritage is the caseback, which has an engraved Chinese stamp embossed into it, and this is similar to the stamp that would be pressed onto the bottom of pottery before it was fired. These two elements really give the watch a clear theme, and more importantly, they look really good. I'm also very impressed by the bracelet here. Once again, they've avoided copying other manufacturers and come up with something that is pretty original, and it also matches the design of the watch very well. The links are tightly fitted together and feature a square brick-like pattern. In fact, there's almost no visible gaps between them, so it almost looks like it's a solid piece of metal. This does sacrifice some articulation, with the links being able to easily flex and bend inward, but becoming rigid when they try to flex outward. And San Martin has carried over the insane finish work on the case to the bracelet as well, with bold, polished lines outlining each link. The clasp is extremely solid and slightly on the large side for a watch with these dimensions, but it packs the best micro-adjust system that I've seen on a budget watch. Built into the clasp is a locking mechanism that releases with a satisfying snap when you pull the bracelet up from the clasp. Once that's done, you can slide the bracelet in and out of the clasp to adjust the size and then lock it back into place with another satisfying snap. In terms of quality and refinement, this watch is much closer to Seiko's more expensive watches, such as the Alpinist Deep Lake, which is part of Seiko's Prospex line and is one of my favorite watches in my collection. But the Seiko Alpinist costs more than twice as much as this San Martin. If I were to compare these two watches head to head, I'd say that the San Martin actually surpasses the Seiko in terms of finishing and the quality of the bracelet, particularly with that tool-free micro-adjust clasp. But I still think the Seiko has a more appealing and beautiful design. And that design, as well as my attraction to Seiko as a brand, for me is enough to make the Alpinist the more appealing watch. But again, it's more than twice as much as the San Martin. And if I'm forced to choose between the San Martin and a Seiko 5 Sports, I'm going to have a much more difficult time taking the Seiko 5. Now, all that to say, I do have some critiques of this watch, so let's get into those, starting with the handset and markers. While they are well finished and very sharply cut out, they're kind of flat and boring. This might seem like a minor thing, but you look at the hands and the markers on a watch every time you tell the time, and I think this is one area where San Martin can improve. They don't need to go crazy and reinvent the wheel, just add a little bit more depth and texture to things, and I think it would look a lot better. Another thing is that the date is a little bit difficult to read, and part of that is due to the excellent color matching that they've done. I think if they went with the standard white background and black text on the date, it would be easier to read because there would be more contrast. Even still, the date is a little bit on the small side. And the final complaint has to do with San Martin's branding. Like a lot of these Chinese factory brands, I feel like San Martin just kind of picked a name that's sort of generic and doesn't sound too Chinese. Like, I have no idea what or where San Martin is or what it has to do with this manufacturer or brand. And again, it was mostly a name that was slapped onto watches that were kind of copying other watches. They've also gone through a number of different logos before kind of settling on this hexagon one that's not terrible, but I don't know, just kind of looks a little bit odd to me, which puts them in kind of a tough spot because I feel like San Martin has really been on a journey as a watchmaker, and they've really matured as a brand and begun to distinguish themselves from these other Chinese factory brands. And I think San Martin is aware of this because they recently created a sub-brand called Jinghun that focus on original designs with strong inspiration from Chinese heritage. It's a brand where they seem to be experimenting a bit more and pushing the envelope a bit on the design front. So far, the watches that I've seen them release under that brand name have been a little too far for my personal taste, whereas this San Martin SN0144 I think is the perfect balance between an accessible, easy-to-wear, appealing design and unique cultural influences from the country in which it's manufactured. And I hope that this watch is a good sign of things to come from San Martin, and I'm definitely curious to see where they go next. But for now, it seems like the next place they're going is making this watch in a lot of different variations, different colors. They have a new GMT version out. They've released it in a number of different sizes. So if you like this watch, there's a lot of options available for you. And that's cool because this is not only a great watch for the money, this is just a great watch, period. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the video for today. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Is San Martin a true competitor to Seiko or Citizen? Do you still see them primarily as an homage brand? As always, love to interact with you guys in the comments down below. If you're interested in getting a watch-themed t-shirt like this one, you can pick it up on my website at justthewatch.com. But that will wrap up the video for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.